Okay, so let yourself sit comfortably if you're home or here. Oh, by the way, if you like 3-block dolphin, if any of you have a 3rd block at home and you like to use 3 blocks for your dolphin pose, go right ahead and get one handy. And same thing here for who I forgot to tell. I can't tell if that's crooked or not. Nobody cares, do they? So, let yourself sit comfortably and be mindful of allowing your hips to be in a good place, right? So that might mean you want to stretch your legs out, or you might want to sit up on a blanket or two so that your hips feel good, or even grab blocks and support your legs there so that you feel like you can relax into your hips a little bit. So whatever works for you, and close your eyes there and just start to lengthen upward through the crown of your head. Let your shoulders release down. And start to feel the breath coming in and going out through your nose. So feeling the coolness of the air as you inhale, and that sense of the breath being a little warmer when you exhale through your nose. Even with your mask, really, it's kind of the same, right? Start to feel your face releasing as you watch your breath, which it naturally really wants to do. If you're comfortable to come into those 3-part breaths, you can. Inhaling into the belly, into the ribs, all the way up into your chest. Start to make those easy little circles with your torso. Start really small so that you let the breath carry you, exhaling forward, inhaling when you come back. And just keep circling in the same direction, and if the momentum of those circles makes you want to get bigger and bigger, do. If not, stay really small. So just focusing still on the breath, but just adding that gentle movement. And think smooth. Let it just be very smooth and easy. And then we're going to stop and go the other way, so you decide where it feels good to do that, right? So that you can reverse and start small again. So when you start in the other direction, control a little bit to let the circles be small. And then again, of course, if it feels good to get bigger and bigger, do. Otherwise, just let yourself stay with those really small circles. But feel the breath just moving the torso. And the next time that you end up forward, let yourself stay there. And you're welcome to let your hands come to the floor. You can stay with your hands on your thigh. You can walk farther out if you choose to, coming farther forward. Finding your seated forward bend where you're comfortable to be. Gently stretching the back. Let yourself, if possible, release your head so you don't feel like you're tensing up in your neck. Now you can keep your head in line with your spine, or you can let it hang. That really depends on how it feels in your back. Just breathe. Feel the ribs expanding there in the back. won't come up enough so we can walk over towards our left. So coming out over your left thigh. Again, you can stay up high so that you just keep the torso nice and long over the thigh. You can fold over your thigh if that feels good. Think of drawing your right sitting bone back a little bit. And we're going to walk back through center, and we're going to walk over into the other direction. So again, how far forward you come, totally up to you. Let yourself see if you can draw your left sitting bone back a little bit. You'll feel a little more in your side waist. And then we'll come on back to center again. And let's walk ourselves all the way back up. And let your fingertips come lightly onto the floor beside you here now. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And let our exhale bring our hands down together in front of our hearts. And now clasp your hands, squeeze your palms together and squeeze your fingers together even so you really feel the bones really squeezing together. Let your elbows melt down. Feel your biceps engaging into your shoulders. And then start to press your palms away from your chest, and you're still interlaced with your fingers, so feeling the wrists here. And now inhale the hands up. Now it depends on your shoulders whether your hands want to stop about halfway or come higher, maybe even all the way overhead. And then we'll reach over to the left a little bit, breathing into that side you're stretching, letting yourself release, finding space there between the ribs on that long side. And then come on back into center, and we'll go to the other side. So pressing into the heel of the hand, letting yourself really enjoy opening up through the side there. And then we'll come on back to center, release our arms on down beside us, and bring your hands behind you. And you can stay on fingertips if you'd rather. You can go ahead back farther onto your hands. That really depends on you. Just take your time. Draw your chest forward. Imagine that string attached to your sternum, drawing your chest forward there and up a little bit. So you can look up if it's okay for your neck, or you can look forward, or you can decide to look up at the ceiling if you choose to. Really be mindful of your neck though. Good. One more breath. And then we'll make our way on back up. Now remember what leg you have in front. We're going to stretch our legs out wide for a second here. And then from there, just flex your feet, and then let your feet point a little bit. And then flex again, and then let yourself point. And then one more time, flexing the feet. And now this time, draw your heels down, draw them back towards you, and lean just a little bit forward. So coming into the inner thighs here a little bit. Imagine that you can keep your knees and toes up because you're pinned down from the inner and outer thighs into the floor. Take your time, and if you can get your hands there onto the floor, do. If you need to use your hands behind you, that's fine too. So be where you can. And now once you're a little bit forward, see if you can shift your torso just a little bit from one side to the other. So it just adds a little nice more stretch into the inner thigh and the hamstrings. Just let it be easy. You can come back and forth a little with your breath. If you're like, no, that's not working for me, don't do it. And then finish off back at center again. Let's walk ourselves on back up. And we're going to cross our legs again, this time with your other leg in front. And flex the feet a little bit now. Start to press down into the outside edges of your feet and make your way forward here into that seated forward bend. So take your time. Come again as far as you want. Maybe you decide that you want to fold a little bit more forward, as long as you come forward from your low back. If you want to go ahead and release into the upper back once you get there, go for it. If not, stay up high, keep your back long. Really pay attention to how your back feels. Good, one more breath here. And now we are going to walk over again towards the left thigh, but once you get there, let your left hand come a little farther back behind you, and now open up into side stretch with your right arm really reaching long here. And How low you go is up to you. You know, bending that left elbow as much as you choose. And then we'll turn back to look towards the ground so we can walk back through center. And we're going to walk over to the right. Again, let your right hand go a little farther back and then really open now. Find that nice release through the left side of the body. Good. And then we'll release back to look at the floor so we can walk back into center. And from here, walking ourselves on back up, letting our fingertips come out onto the floor beside us here. Nice inhale. And on the exhale, we're going to twist to our left. So bringing yourself around. Right hand can come to that left knee or to the midline. Let yourself enjoy. Feel the low belly engaging a little bit. Feel your sitting bones reaching down. Just make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up underneath you. Think about your tailbone reaching back a little bit and down. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll move back through center. We're going into the other direction in that twist. So again, get where you're comfortable with your hands. Let yourself feel that twist now in the middle of the back, waking up the spine. So sitting bones in the ground, belly engaging, tailbone reaching down, but back a little bit really. Good. One more breath. And then let yourself release and come on back around into center. And we'll inhale both arms all the way out and up overhead. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. And we'll release our arms now on down. Shake out a little bit. We're coming around to hands and knees. So be mindful as you come on around. And if you need a blanket underneath your knees, use one. Get your hands underneath you. And then, just make sure you're okay in your wrists. You know that. You can come onto fists if you need to. Curl your toes under for a second and shift your hips back a little bit. So you feel the bottoms of the feet stretch out just a little. If that bothers you, don't do it. Good. Coming on forward again now. Come to the tops of the feet. And let's inhale our right arm straight out from the side. You're looking out towards your right hand. It's right out from your shoulder. And then if you want to lift the arm up higher, do. You can come all the way up towards the ceiling if you want. And we're going to thread the needle with that right arm coming on down onto the right side of the head if you can. And let that shoulder release. Now your left arm can reach overhead if you're comfortable to do that. Or you can keep the hand by your face. Let the elbows stay bent, right? So feel really easy there between the shoulder blades on your back. One more breath. And now left hand by your face, we're going to press ourselves back up to all fours. And we're going to let the left arm rise up, looking over again towards your hand. Whether it wants to float up and up and up and up towards the ceiling or not is up to you. And then as we exhale, we're going to thread the needle and come on down again on towards the left side of your head this time. And again, you can just leave your right elbow soft, or you may decide it feels really good to reach the arm along overhead. But just enjoy. Bring your breath into between the shoulder blades on your back. One more breath. And then right hand by the face. We're going to come all the way on back up to all fours. Bring your hands forward of your shoulders a little bit here. And then shift forward like you're coming into a half plank. Lift your your feet up if you can. Be on the flesh above your knees. You might have to adjust where your hands are. So you can come into a little plank there. And then shift back again towards pose of a child. Let yourself bring your big toes together. See if you can keep your arms long overhead. And then lift up to the fingertips and the tips of your thumbs. So your palms come off the ground. And feel your elbows hugging in gently towards each other as you press down into the fingertips. One more breath. And then we're going to come forward again, just like we did. Now, if you can, shift towards a little bit of a back bend. Let the hips come down a little lower. You don't have to go very deep, or you can go ahead and come through with your chest if you're comfortable to do that into a cobra. Don't go all the way if it's too much for you. And then from here, we're going to shift back, curl your toes under, and lift up into a downward facing dog pose. So walk your dog a little bit here. Be mindful. Start to really feel the backs of the legs in your dog. So put your focus on the backs of your legs for a second. Once you get kind of comfortable in your stance, see if you can inhale your heels way up, and when you exhale, lower them down. So the inhales rise you up to the balls of the feet higher, and the exhales let the heels descend back down towards the mat. A couple more of those, just really letting yourself play there. And then come on back to your full dog. Bend your right knee. Let your left leg stay straight. Stay there for a second. Hug your elbows towards each other. And then straighten the right leg, bend the left knee, and let yourself stay here for a couple of breaths. So there's some good backs of your legs. And then finish off back in your full dog. And we're going to lower our knees down, and we're going to bring our left foot forward and find lunge. If you need your blocks under your hands, grab them. Come on up into that first lunge. Take your time. Get any height you want to be with your hands. You know that. And be aligned there with that front knee. Feel the feet in the mat there. Lengthen out through your back body. And think of trying not to lift your chin up and forward so the neck tenses, but you have that sense of back of your head in line with your spine. Good. Now just for fun, we're going to walk around to the other side for a lunge through not really a wide angle, but in that direction. Take your blocks if you need them. Walk around. Oh, that's fun. Clump your blocks a little and then come to the other side. And let yourself enjoy here. So finding the length through the body there. Enjoy feeling the feet in the floor, finding that alignment of that front knee. And now we're going to come back the way we came, and we're going to come back again to having the left foot forward in your lunge here. So take your time. If you want to lift up a little bit, you can lift up your left hand or even both hands up above your knee. You can stay forward, right, just to give yourself a little bit more. And then we'll bring our hands back down. We're going to switch the normal way, bringing the right foot forward. So coming into your lunge, pressing the feet away from each other. If it feels good to think of lifting your hands up, do it. If not, don't. And then we'll bring our hands on back down. We're going to step forward and come into standing forward bend. So take your time, really get just where you feel the most comfortable, how far apart your feet are, right? And then be mindful. Let the head hang. Let yourself feel the weight of your head. If you're able to bring your hands up onto your low back, do. And just easily interlace your fingers there. And let your head hang heavy if possible. And all of you know, if your back bothers you, don't do this. Use support however you need. One more nice full breath here. Now bend your knees a little bit. Press into your feet equally and imagine you're trying to make your mat wider with your feet as you rise up to standing. So you're very engaged. Coming on up. Release the arms out beside you, and we'll inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So coming into your mountain pose, take your time. If you need to adjust a little bit or shift around, do. And then just let the hands very gently come to meet there. So that spread your fingers a little bit, but really feel a lightness to the connection in your hands. And then see if you can feel the sense of your head being in just the right place up there on top where you don't feel any tension, right? So if your chin's too forward or you tuck your chin back, it really affects your posture, your alignment. So finding a really good spot to where as you bring your gaze, whether your eyes are opened or closed, on out, it feels like you're being supported by the air all around you. It's very easy to be in your mountain pose. It's like you could stay here for a really long time because of it being so effortless, really. As we unfold both our arms now down beside us, let's inhale both arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, bend the knees and come on into our standing forward bend. Let your next inhale help you find that flat back. And exhale, right foot back to come into lunge. And inhale, exhale into your downward facing dog pose. Good. Let your next inhale bring you out to that plank. Now from here, see if you can, just let yourself walk really slowly, bend one knee at a time, and stay really solid in where your pelvis is. And sometimes one knee bending, you feel fine and strong, and the other knee, you kind of want to drop into that side. Try not to do that. Try to stay really even. Finish off, come back to your full plank, and we're going to lower down. Knees first if you need, elbows right by the rib. Come into Sphinx, elbows under the shoulders, spread your fingers wide. Actually, for a second, turn your palms up. Let the backs of the hands be on the ground. And just spread the fingers wide. Obviously, just don't force anything with your hands. Let it feel kind of good. And then start to turn your palms to face each other. So your pinky fingers are down towards the floor and your thumbs are facing up, right? Press down a little bit into the forearms. Feel the belly engaging a bit. One more breath. And then we're going to lower back down, bringing the hands back by the chest, and we'll make our way back to down dog from here, whether you go through a full or a half push-up, or just go up to hands and knees and back to dog. Good. We're going to bring the right foot forward to find lunge. Whatever you need to do to get there, put your left knee down if you need. And then we'll come all the way into standing forward bend. Right to your breath. Really, let your breath be the most important thing. So you're watching the breath, letting the body just benefit from the pose just by you being with your breath. And we're going to let our hands now rise back up to our hips. Bend our knees and come on up to standing. We'll inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. From here, stretch your arms straight out from your shoulders into a T position. Bring your left arm on top of your right. Give yourself a hug. Now you can stay hugging. You can head to your half eagle or eagle wrap. That's up to you. And then sit back a little like you're coming into chair pose. So try not to overdo. Feel your thighs working equally. But remember, you're tilting, you're reaching now back with your tailbone, kind of on a diagonal line. Your body's coming forward as one piece. One more breath here. And then we'll come on back up. We're going to unwind our arms, stretch your arms back out from your shoulders. And now bringing the right arm on top of the left, hugging, stay hugging if you want. Heading into the wrap or the half eagle wrap if you choose. And then again, we'll sit back. So again, you can go deeper if you want. You can stay up higher. That really depends on you. Really feel the knees coming out over the center of the feet. Feeling equal between your feet. See if you can lift all your toes up right now. Feel the four corners of the feet into the floor. Try not to roll to either side of the feet, and then bring the toes back down. Press into the feet as we rise up, and we'll unwind our arms. We're going to inhale the arms all the way out and up. And on the exhale, we're going to fold forward into standing forward bend. Good. Let your next inhale lengthen your spine. And exhale, left foot back to come into lunge. And inhale. Exhale into your down dog. Good. So let's inhale out to plank. Let's do a little side version of plank. Go into our left hand onto our left side. Now you can do a full plank. You can do a side plank. You can bring your right arm up and keep your legs long. Or you can put your left knee down. Use the left foot as a kickstand and come into that variation. And we'll come on back through to plank. Take a breath here. Walk a couple of times. And then when you're ready to go to the other side, again, you can come into that full side plank if you choose. Or you can put your right knee down, use the foot like a kickstand there and let yourself come into that version there. We're going to come back down with the hand, back into plank. Good. We're going to lower down to the mat. You can put your knees down first, elbows by the ribs. And let's come on into a little cobra. Float up a little bit. Float your hands off the floor. And now just let your hands be loose fists for a second. So you're really using your back here, right? This is actually a harder version of cobra than if you're able to put your hands back down and press up. So it's up to you. You can stay here or you can put your hands down and come up higher in your cobra pose. Elbows hugging in towards the ribs. You don't have to go high in cobra to be in a cobra. We're going to shift back towards pose of a child from here. So letting yourself shift back. Once you get into child's pose, walk your hands over to the right and stay there for a breath. Let your breath come into your left ribs. And then we'll walk back to center and we're going to go to the other side. So breathing into the right ribs. Good. And then we'll come back into center. And from here, come up back to all fours, and we're going to make our way to down dog. So coming on back into your downward facing dog pose. And we'll bring the left foot forward to come into lunge. And then we'll come back into standing forward bend again. Right to breaths. So right to just watching those breaths. Let it be easy. Really feel there's nothing more important that you do than just watch your breaths coming in and going out. Support how you need. Good. And then let's let our hands come back up to our hips. Bend our knees and rise up. We're going to inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, coming into mountain pose, take a breath here. Keep your gaze on forward, whether your eyes are opened or closed. And we'll start to move through 2 sun salutations with our breaths. So letting yourself really think flow. Just flowing through very easily, almost feeling like you're not stopping in any position. It's like you just extend out through everything you do with your breath. So we'll unfold our arms on down beside us and inhale the arms all the way out and up. And let your exhale carry you forward. And inhale into that long back. Exhale, right foot back to lunge. And inhale, exhale into your down dog. Let your inhale carry you to plank. That exhale lowers us down. And inhale into your cobra of choice. Exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, right foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to your standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise up with your inhale to the top. And let that exhale bring you forward. Inhale, nice long back. Exhale, left foot back to lunge. And inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog pose. Let your inhale bring you to plank. Your exhale lowers you down. Inhale into that cobra. And exhale back to down dog. Inhale. Exhale, left foot forward to lunge. And inhale. Exhale to standing forward bend. Bend the knees, rise again all the way to the top. And let your exhale carry you forward. Inhale into that long back. We're going to come into down dog, however you want to get there. So let yourself find your dog. Walk a little bit, wag your tail. Really look at your hands for a second. Spread those fingers wide and get even in your hands, right? Point your fingers about parallel to each other. And we're going to bring the left foot forward. We're coming up for warrior 2. Have both your blocks handy. Let yourself release now into finding the alignment of your heels. And bring your hands behind you for a second and just clasp your hands softly. So let the arms be soft. You're not trying to straighten them and lock the elbows, but you're feeling really open here. Cross your chest. And then see if you can turn your head to look over to the left without your arm being there, right? So you feel your right shoulder draws back, your left shoulder kind of comes forward. Good. Couple of breaths, 3 parts. Belly into the ribs, up into your chest. And then we'll release our arms on down. We're going to inhale the hands, arms straight out and up into our warrior two arms. Bring in your gaze right out over the top of that left hand. Now feel the feet pressing gently away from each other. Good. One more breath here. And then we'll turn that left palm up. And let's inhale, reach up towards the sky. Slide your right hand down a little more if you can. If you want to reach a little further back. One more inhale. And on the exhale, we'll come into that side angle. So bring your left hand or forearm onto your thigh. Swing your right arm on up into line. Turn the pinky a little more down towards the ground. Now press into that left forearm. Draw your outer left hip back a little bit. Enjoy feeling that length through both sides of the body. Good. One more breath here. And now bring your right hand down to your right hip. Look down at your left foot and knee there, okay? And see if you can, as we head to triangle, decide whether you want to use a block or not. Put your hand where you like it for triangle. And then straighten that left knee out. Extend your torso out over that leg. Keep looking down, right? And enjoy feeling your thighs lifting up. And make sure you're not rolling to the outside of that left foot. And then see if you can draw your gaze now more forward towards the long edge of your mat. And then if you want to add the top arm straight on up, let yourself do that. So feel the thighs engaging up towards the hips. Just enjoy finding that sense of length out through the crown of the head. Good. One more breath. And now lower your right arm down towards your head so you come deeper into a side stretch there. You're still long-armed. You're just stretching the hand forward and letting yourself feel that length through the right side of the body. One more breath. Now turn your head to look down at the floor again, down at your foot. And we're going to turn to look at the floor and come into lunge here. So as you do, you can bring your hands down to blocks or to the floor. And we are going to walk around into a wide-legged forward bend from here. So you can use your blocks or you can let yourself walk on around into your forward bend with your hands on the floor. And go ahead and start to bend a knee at a time. Ease your way from side to side. You know, take your time, however good that feels to you. Good. And then release your way, if you can, to bring your hands towards between your feet. If you know your back doesn't do this, support yourself forward, either on your blocks, on your forearms, or your hands. So wherever you can be, to let yourself come in again to those full deep breaths. And let your face go. Let your jaw release. And again, just think about the breath being all that you need to pay attention to. Let the pose do the work for you. You just need to watch your breath. See if you can let your inhales and exhales be fairly equal in length, even longer in your exhales if you can. Good. One more nice, full, deep breath. And we are going to slowly walk our hands back out. Then we're going to walk back to the left foot, to come back into lunge, and we'll make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Walk to the tops of the feet a couple of times. Let yourself stretch out your feet a little bit. And you're on your own. You want to come out for a plank and come into a back bend, you can. If you'd rather stay in dog, do. If you'd rather come out to do a vinyasa, so you actually move through chaturanga into a back bend, you can. Or you can come into those kriyas, where you just move through from your down dog through plank into up dog, right? So just finish off whatever you're doing. Meet back in down dog. And from here, we will bring our right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior two on the other side. So again, you know if you like your blocks handy, Line your heels up. Let yourself get your legs set there, and then bring your hands behind you. And again, if you can just gently interlace your fingers so it feels good, you open your chest. You can turn, if possible, to look over that right shoulder. So your left shoulder automatically draws a little back, right? See if you can feel the breath. Inhaling into the belly, at the ribs, up into your chest. And then we'll release our hands, and we're going to float the arms on up and out into warrior two arms. Reaching out through the fingertips. Feel the feet in the floor. See if you can, as you press, just gently, like you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet. Gently press the feet away from each other. Feel your legs up into your hips. Feel the tailbone reaching down and back a little bit, so you make sure you're not tucking your tailbone up under you. Good. One more breath. And we'll bring the left hand down so we can turn the right palm up. Slide that left hand down a little bit and come into that reverse warrior, inhaling into the right ribs. And on the exhale, coming into that side angle pose. So again, right hand or forearm on the thigh, swinging that left arm up in line, if possible, for your own shoulder. So if you can press down into that right forearm, draw your outer right hip back a little bit, you'll find even more length, right? Feel that extension through both sides of the body. Good. One more breath here. And now let your left hand come back to your hip. Look down towards your right foot there on the floor. And again, just make sure already that you're not rolling. You can always lift your toes up. And then bring your right hand down for your triangle where you like to use your blocker, or you can put it on your leg, wherever you like your hand to be. And then as you straighten that right leg out, stay looking down. Let yourself again, make sure as you come straighter in the leg that you don't start to roll to the pinky toe side of the foot. So again, if lifting the toes up helps, do that. Feel your thighs lifting up towards the hips. Imagine you're trying to lengthen your mat with your feet, but pull up with your thighs. And then turn your head to look towards the long edge of your mat, forward, and stretch that top arm up, straight up from the shoulders, if you can. If that's uncomfortable for your shoulder, keep the hand where you need. You can always turn to look up if it feels good. I forgot to say that on the other side. So just enjoy. Really let that triangle pose. And again, you're in the pose. All you do is breathe. One more breath. And now we're going to lower that left arm down again so the palm faces the floor. When it comes down closer to your head, you're lengthening through that left side of the body a little bit more. Beautiful. One more breath. And now look down again at the floor, and we're going to come on back into lunge. So let yourself release that left heel directly behind you. And we're going to walk back around again into that wide-legged forward bend. Now once you start and you get yourself adjusted, keep walking over towards your left foot. Or shift your blocks over. Doesn't matter which. Once you get there, bring your left hand up to your left hip. You can roll the shoulder up if you choose to. You don't have to. And then bringing that left hand back down, we're going to walk back through center and walk over to the right. Again, once you get there, as far as you want to go, doesn't have to be all the way to the foot. You can bring your right hand up to your hip. That might be enough. You might like rolling your shoulder up, maybe even looking up a little bit. That, again, is up to you. Good, and then bringing yourself on back down, coming back to center, and if you need to adjust a little bit, bend your knees or let your stance get a little bit wider or less wide, by all means do. And then again, find your way into where you can easily be with your breath. If you like to use blocks under your head, under your forearms, if it just helps the feeling of the pose being a little bit different for you, sometimes just changing a little bit about the pose, how you're supported, where you're supported, how far apart your feet are. And then once you get kind of settled in, again, be with those full deep breaths. See if you can find those little spaces between your breaths. soften, and your jaw. Good. One more breath. And we're going to walk ourselves back out enough to walk back to our right foot from here to come on back into lunge and make our way back into downward facing dog. Again, you know these vinyasas or kriyas are totally up to you. You can come out, you can put your knees down and rest in child's pose. You can stay in dog if you'd rather, just let yourself be in your down dog. So just be mindful, following what feels really good to you today. Might not be the same every day, as we all know. And then let's finish off and meet back in down dog. Good. And we're going to bring the left foot forward this time and come up for warrior one. Have both your blocks handy here at the front of your mat. Rise yourself on up. Bring your hands to your heart here. Let yourself square your shoulders off. And get comfortable in that back foot, right? How far you have that foot back behind you, number one. How long your stance is up to you. But also the angle of this heel back here, the angle of the foot, right? So let it feel good. Look down for a second at your left knee. Let your gaze come on forward. Good. And now just simply inhale your hands right up through the midline. And as you exhale, let them come on back down to be in front of your chest. So as you inhale, it doesn't matter how high up you come. That's up to you and your shoulders. And as you exhale, bring them down. Just let yourself feel the strength in the core of the body here. So just following your own breath, letting the hands rise up and down. The next time the hands get up overhead, clasp the hands, send your pointer finger up, hug your elbows in towards your head a little bit. And then imagine your elbows rising up just a little bit higher. It doesn't have to be a big uplift in warrior one, right? And you can stay right there with elbows bent. You can come into straighter arms. You may decide you want to look farther up. Feel that lift, remember, right here at the base of your shoulder blades. So not feeling like you're sinking into your low back and compressing and feeling discomfort in your low back, right? Now feel, as you breathe here, feel the openness in the front of your right hip. Feel that foot fully on the floor. One more breath here. And then we're going to release our arms on down. Bring your hands behind you. Interlace your fingers here. And we're going to fold forward over this front inner thigh. Now, maybe you want to stay up pretty high. You can if you want. You can fold all the way over, let your head hang if you choose. Some of you may want to let your arms come off your back once you're there forward, but you don't need to. One more breath. And then bring your arms down. Let your hands come down to the floor of the blocks. Find lunge. And lower that right knee. If you need to grab a blanket, let yourself come down onto a blanket. And now you're going to let your hips shift forward as much as you can. Good. And then let your hips shift back a little bit. See if you can come up enough to bring your right elbow over to your left knee, right? So you're in a twist. And then bring your hands into your heart, into heart pose. So into prayer pose, sorry. And you can look over to the left if you want, coming into this little twist here. One more breath. And now let your hands come on back down. And we're going to lift the back knee up, come back into lunge. And we're going to make our way back into downward facing dog pose. Once you're in dog, bring your feet a little closer together. Lift your right leg up in the air behind you. Three-legged dog, and then bend the knee and open the hip. Imagine you're stacking your right hip on top of your left. Let your left heel descend towards the ground. Good. We're going to lower that right foot all the way back down, and we're going to switch. Left leg's going to come up. Bend the knee, and then open that hip. Again, you might want to look under your left arm. That's up to you. Let the right heel descend. Get the most out of that. Good. And then release, bring the foot on back down. If you want to do a vinyasa or kriya, you're more than welcome to do that. You can stay in dog for a breath or two. Good. And let's meet back. Finish off the one you're on and meet back in down dog. And this time, we're going to bring the right foot forward. We're coming up for warrior one on this other side. So again, getting your shoulders square, getting that back foot where you're really, really comfortable to be, right? Let yourself be easy. Let your hands gently come together in front of your heart. Now, see if you can, once you get established, in your legs, your hips, feel the hands gently touching, gently. And then again, as you inhale the hands up through the midline of the body, feel very strong in the core. And your exhale brings the hands back down. So take your time moving with your own breath, the speed of your own breath. Good. The next time your arms end up overhead, we're going to stay there. And we're going to clasp our hands together, send our pointer finger up, hug your elbows in a little bit, lift the elbows up a bit, maybe your gaze as well. Now, again, you can come into straighter arms, you can keep your elbows really bent, you can keep the arms forward if your shoulders need that. But let yourself just enjoy, really imagine that lift in the front of the body and the release down the back of your body. Warrior one more breath. And then we're going to bring our gaze forward, let our arms release down beside us, bring our hands behind us, and fold forward over that inner thigh. So again, you may want to stay pretty high. You can just let yourself come a little bit. You can fold all the way over your inner thigh. You can release your arms off your back if you choose to. Of course, or if your shoulders let you, really, it's more to the point. One more breath. And then let your arms come on back down. We're going to find lunge from here. So letting yourself release into your lunge and then lowering that back knee down. And at first, let your hips shift forward and press into the top of the foot. You can keep your hands on blocks. It can be up higher. But just see if you can find as much openness as you can there in the front of the left hip. And then you might have to back out of it a little bit to bring your left elbow over to that right knee. And bring your hands into prayer. And you can shift a little more with the hips again, down, or you can stay back. One more breath. And then we're going to release and bring our hands down, lift that back knee back up to find lunge, and back into downward facing dog pose. And last vinyasas or kriyas if you want to do any more now. Okay, so you can, if you'd rather open your hips again, do. If there's something else you'd rather do, by all means do it. Just be mindful, let yourself enjoy opening the body up in whatever way you need to. Good. And finish off what you're doing. We'll meet back in down dog. And then from here, we'll separate our feet wider on our mat, walk our hands back, and either let your elbows just rest above your knees to squat a little bit here, or you can come all the way down. I mean, if you prefer to send your heels inward and come down into a squat, you can. You know, if you'd like a different form of a squat, by all means do it. So take your time, let your hips, your low back release however you can. I know anybody who's down here and likes to play with their crow pose, you know, you can always play a little bit, bringing your hands to the floor and just play a little bit with letting the feet rise up. You don't have to stay a long time in balance. And, you know, if your wrists bother you, that's really in this pose what gets to people a lot is the wrist. It is a balance, it is a core work, but once you find that little balance point, it's really more about sometimes the wrist than anything. So finish off. Let the feet come back down if they were up, and then let's lift our hips up, bring our feet right underneath us, hips distance apart and parallel. And come into your standing forward bend. If you like to hold your elbows for a couple of breaths, do. And then we'll bring our hands to our hips. We're going to rise on up to standing. And inhale our arms all the way out and up. And on our exhale, let our hands come down together in front of our hearts. So find your mountain pose. If you need to shift around a little bit, if you feel like swaying, sway, right? If you feel like kind of circling your hips a little bit, sometimes after all doing this many different poses, I feel like, I just need to move a little bit to get centered. So that's up to you. And then again, see if you can feel that sense of, my head is floating up there on top of my spine. Pelvis is aligned. Everything feels like it just wants to line up. And enjoy the feeling of energy flowing through your whole body. And then we'll let our arms come on down beside us. Shake out a little bit. Move around. We're going to bring our mats to a wall. We have plenty of room in here today. So you're there, she's there, you too. And you're here, Marta. So we're good. So grab 2 blocks. And we're going to do a little warrior 3 with our back foot to the wall. So letting your hands come to the highest height of the block so that when you put your right foot back there on the wall, you're up high enough with your torso here when your hands are up on blocks like this, that you can drop your head and look back and make sure you can see your foot. So you don't have your foot too high. You don't want to have to drop your head and body down to see the foot, right? You should just be able to put your head down and see your foot, your toes facing down. And then look forward, adjust those blocks to where you need them so you can lengthen out through your spine. And now press into that foot on the wall. Imagine you're drawing it up towards the ceiling. And see if you can bend both your knees a little bit. Put your left hand on your left thigh. And feel that foot in the wall still. Now if you can come into a straighter leg, do. Not necessarily. But think about whether you could bring your right hand up and bring your hands to your heart. And don't do it if it's too much. Put the hand back down or hands back down if you need. And then see, some of you might even want to put your hands back down and reach your left arm forward, but press into that right foot back there on the wall. And if you want to add a little extra, put your left hand on your low back and start to roll that left shoulder up, coming into a twist here. So you're still really pressing a little into the foot as you come into that twist. You're level at your hips. And then we'll bring that hand on back down. We're going to bring the right foot down. Right away, put your left foot up. So see if that feels like a relief. I mean, I know a lot of the times you just kind of want to drop into a squat. But this in itself feels really good, right? Pretend it does, even if it doesn't. Bend your knees a little bit. Press into that left foot back there on the wall. See if you can put your right hand up on your thigh. Good. And now see about thinking about whether you want to let your hands come to your heart. Maybe you feel like, no, that's not happening. You can put your left hand or both hands down again. And you can reach that right arm forward if you want. Feeling a little more uplift in the front of the body. And then you can bring that right hand on up to your right hip to the low back and then roll that shoulder up. And you know, it's fine if you have to keep a little bend in your knees here. Still a lot of work in the legs, the hamstrings, the IT band. Bring that hand down. Probably had enough. Come down however you want. Towards a squat if you want, or back to the wall if you want. Hey, if you like squats at the wall, I do. That's because I love the wall. But you can come down and be really close and be in your squat. And you can have a turnout or you can have your toes forward. But you can let the wall support you. Oh. Or any squat really feels like a relief, doesn't it? So let your low back and your hips release there. Good. We're going to set up to do some dolphin pose. So you can decide if you like the 3 blocks. Those people in here know full well about doing 3 blocks, I know. At home, if you don't know anything about it and you don't have 3 blocks, don't worry about it. You can practice your dolphin pose with your heels up the wall. Let yourself come onto your forearms. If you're stacking blocks, the bottom block goes up to the highest height, and the top 2 blocks turn the other way. It's like a T position, and that bottom block comes really close to the wall. Sorry, the top 2 blocks stick out, right? So they're turned that way. And then you come onto your forearms and you wrap your fingers around the bottom block, and then when you lift up, those blocks support you right between the shoulder blades on your back. Now, if you'd rather not use blocks, don't use them. Remember, the top ones stick out a little bit, enough to where they just press right in that perfect place to remind you to release between the shoulder blades on your back. And you can lift the leg up, you can stay in dolphin. If you have your heels up the wall or you're just doing free dolphin, feel free to come down in any of these, of course, anytime you want. So take your time. Good. Don't feel like you have to be in the pose for long. Let yourself enjoy and rest when you need. And some people use this to think about coming up. You know, this is like a preparation for forearm stand, but and also for headstand. But if you come up and you let the wall help you, you press in to the blocks a little bit with the back of your head. Good. And you know, you rest whenever you want to rest. Take your time. Sometimes it feels good to go back up again, and sometimes you're like, yeah, no, not going to do that. So be easy. If you are going to go back up again, let it be now so that you can get in your last hurrah there. And if not, just rest however you need to rest. Good. And now, take your time when you're ready. If you haven't come down to rest, take a little break there, but everybody else who's been resting, come on around to sitting and let your legs stretch on out in front of you here. And take your time, be really mindful, stretching the legs out, move them around a little bit however you need. Good. And then let's bring our right leg in. Now you may decide, we're going to practice a little heron pose. You may decide as you lift this foot up off the floor, you lean back a little bit, that you'd be more comfortable folding your left leg in. That's up to you. It can stay long or fold in. And then see about reaching to get hold of your foot. So the right hand holds the pinky toe side of the foot. The left hand kind of comes to the big toe mound. And look up just a little bit. Now you can start to come into straighter leg or not. Knees can stay bent in heron pose, right? Or you can come into straighter leg. Bringing your gaze up though, so you have this huge feeling of uplift in the front of the body, right? And the back is long and lengthened. And it doesn't matter whether the knee is straight or not. Let yourself just enjoy there. And then send your left hand to the outside of that right leg somewhere. It might be your foot, it might be down lower. If your leg's lower, it'll be lower. And we're going to twist towards bringing that right hand directly behind you. See if you can keep it up, out from your shoulder. Coming into the twist here. So really let yourself, if you have a wall there, you can even put your hand on the wall. Feels kind of good. One more breath. Pole is nice too. And then we're going to come on back around into center. We're going to put that foot on the floor. Bow your head for a second. Let yourself release there. And then we are going to switch legs. So again, once you bring your left leg in, you can stretch your right leg out or you can fold it under you. And you can also put a block under your knee if you're feeling a little iffy or glitchy, right? And then you can lean back and hold behind your thigh. Let yourself really kind of start to feel like you're pulling your thigh in towards your chest, but your chest comes back to it a little. That way, maybe when you reach down to get your foot, you can decide here. You don't have to hold your foot either. You know, you can hold one foot, one hand on the foot and the other on your leg, whatever works. Again, if you start to straighten that leg out long, start to find that length upward. So again, knee can stay bent, but see if you can enjoy that uplift in the front of the body. Yes. Good. Now watch, look at that left foot. I'm kind of sickling a little bit. So I'm going to really focus on pushing equally into the big toe mound and the little toe mound. Beautiful. One more breath. Now for that twist, remember, right hand comes somewhere to the outside of that left leg or foot, and you can bring your left arm on back behind you. Again, you can use a wall that's back there, put your fingertips on it. If you kind of press the leg into your hand, feel your IT band. One more breath. And then we're going to slowly come back, bend that knee, and again, let your head bow. Go ahead and round a little bit, right? Let go. And then we'll come on back up and bring your hands behind you. You can turn your fingertips in either way. Think about lifting up into four-footed tables. So you can turn your fingertips backwards or forwards, and you can lift up. Let yourself be where you can. You can look up. You can look forward. If anybody wants to bring their feet just a little closer together and put one foot on top of their other thigh, sometimes that feels good, or you might say, yeah, there's nothing good that feels about that. So you can play. Think of opening your chest. Let yourself feel really good. One more breath. And then when you're ready, release on down. And we're going to come on down onto our backs on the floor. Right away, once you get there, bring your knees in and see if you can pull your knees in, but wrap your right hand around your left wrist. And so that's pulling your knees in pretty close, but squeeze your right hand into your left wrist. And if you can't do that, you don't have to go all the way around the legs, right? And then switch hands. So this is just trying to release your wrists a little bit as well as your back and your hips. And then release and do what you need to do, letting knees go side to side, right? So maybe you want to put your feet on the floor. Maybe you feel better to have your knees in towards you. Let your knees go side to side. And then come on back into center and feel what your body automatically wants to do right now. So maybe nothing, right? Maybe a bridge. Maybe another form of a twist. We just did some pretty deep twisting if you need some easy twist, or a Baddha Konasana, or letting yourself come into a reclined pigeon there, you know, letting your hips open up that way. There's any number of things that might sound like a good idea. So take your time. I'm starting to get some lights because you know where we're heading, but if you want to come into your Shavasana with some support, like if you feel like today you'd like to be in a supported back bend, then I can bring you like a bolster. We can, bolsters I disinfect too. So they can be used for under your knees. They can be used for you to lie back on. You can also have bolster for under your knees, but let me know if the idea of some kind of support sounds really good. I've got all these blankets. They all wash. Everything we have here can be used. So take your time. If you need to move your arms or your legs around to a little bit different place, do. And just again, be with your own breath. Just feeling the ease of the breath as it comes in and goes out. Nothing you need to do in order to breathe. And when your mind wanders off, just see if you can softly return to your breath. Allowing those little quiet places to come into your mind, into your body, so you can benefit from all you just did. And allow yourself to completely and fully relax. And the breath naturally wants to come in and go out a little more fully and deeply once you come back into feeling yourself there on the floor again. Those deeper breaths will start to re-energize you. Just let yourself start to feel the breath, bringing a little energy back to your fingers, your toes, hands, feet. You know, you're welcome to move however you need when you're ready. As you come up into moving the body, you can stretch or you can draw your knees in. Just take your time. You know, if rolling to your right or your left side sounds like a good idea, you can use your arm as a pillow if you don't have a blanket there, and rest in a soft fetal position on one side. Just enjoy gravity holding you down there a little bit longer, feeling like you're cradled by the ground. And then when you feel okay to rise up, let it feel like you're floating your way up if you can. Let your eyes stay closed softly and start to get that sense of your hips evening out, getting really comfortable in how you're sitting for your hips, and lengthening up through the crown of your head, feeling your shoulders release down. Enjoy feeling that central column of your spine supporting you again. And then come back to your breaths in and out. And softly on your next exhale, let your hands come to meet there in front of your chest. And wishing each one of you a very joyful day. Namaste. Namaste.